I'm going to conclude this section with this tutorial focused on looking at audio effects once more, but this time using an effect that isn't one that comes with Vegas Pro 12. I'm looking at using what's known as a third-party effect. Now, a third-party effect is a separate purchase that shows up in an audio program such as Cubase or Audition or Sonar, generally these sort of programs, and that's because they're known as a VST effect. And because it's a VST effect, it will show up in Vegas too. Vegas does allow these sorts of effects to appear, and therefore you can use them. And seeing as we're concerned with making a music video, I'll look at a third-party audio effect that can be used on any individual track, such as this dry audio track that we've heard previously. It's not the one that we've heard in the last couple of tutorials with the reverb embedded. It's the completely dry version. So now, before I start, you'll probably realize I've reorganized the Vegas Pro 12 user interface. I've removed the trimmer for the moment. I don't really need it for this tutorial, so I've removed it out of sight, and I've brought over the main monitor to the left next to our media panel, etc, etc, so that we can see things better, and so that I don't have to keep scrolling around, zooming around our user interface. Anyway, here's all we need to do when we want to integrate a third-party effect. Now remember, I can add this effect to the whole track and any events on it, or individually on one event, or indeed a partial event, if we slice it up into subsequent smaller events like we saw in the previous tutorials. Anyway, I'm going to use it on the whole track. It doesn't really make any difference because we've only got this one event. So first of all, I'll click this button to call up our plugin Chooser user interface. And as you can see, I've got my main folder at the top there, audio, with all these different subfolders or categories running down here. Now if I go to the third-party folder, you'll see these third-party effects installed and available for Vegas to use. I've got Isotopes Alloy 2, and we're going to use this in a moment, and M-Auto Align and M-Multi-Analyzer. Now remember, this is the third-party category. Do you remember what I also said about these effects being VST effects? Well, if I click on the VST folder, then you'll see the same effects in there, and therefore we can work out that these same effects can appear in different categories. It doesn't affect the operation of these effects. I just thought I'd point this out. Anyway, regardless, I want to use Isotopes Alloy 2. Now, Alloy 2 is what's known as a complete channel strip effect. So I'm going to select it, and then remember I need to click Add, because if I don't, I'll still have the No Plugins in Chain message here. So I will hit Add now, and therefore it's now added here in our chain. And then all I need to do is OK this, and as soon as I do, the Alloy 2 user interface opens up. Now I'm not going to go through everything that's here. That would take an entire VTC course of its own. So what I'll do for alacrity's sake is I'll hunt down a relevant preset by going down to vocals at the foot of this list. And you'll see loads of different presets already set up for you. I'm going to choose Rock Warmth for obvious reasons. Actually, so it's obvious to your ears upon playback, I won't choose Rock Warmth. I'll choose Tight Pop Performance instead and hit the preset close button. And now you'll see 5 effects in one in this one channel strip. We've got Transient, Exciter, Dynamics, De-esser and Limiter. And effectively, these are all separate effects, all joined together in a chain within Alloy 2 itself. This saves you having to load up lots of different effects in the plugin chain within Vegas. Now all these different effects, Transient, Exciter, Dynamics, etc., they're all adjustable, but I'm going to leave them as the preset, and I'll click on our cross to close the Alloy user interface. Actually, I've just noticed the gain there has been increased by 5 decibels for that particular preset on the dynamics there. Now, I want to reduce that in case we get distortion, so I'll take it down to 0, and then I will hit the cross to close. Okay, so that's the Alloy 2 third-party effect inserted for this track. So let's have a listen. I'll hit play.
In the sound of I don't care, I can just imagine what's going on in there, but I cannot fathom as we dance along the air.
Okay, great. So we get a more pop-sounding vocal track owing to this preset. Now that's using a third-party effect with audio. You can use third-party effects for video too. Okay? Right, I'll finish up for this tutorial, and in fact, for this section.